Hey, welcome back everybody. Welcome to this section on BS, Belief Systems and Lies. What a great title, right? I'd have to read a book with that title. So, just a little bit of a recap because we talked a little bit about this before. Belief systems, I call them BS for short just to remind me what they truly are. They're simply beliefs and they're not always right. Believing something does not make it true. Now that seems obvious, but we have so many things that we believe in that we haven't proven and they're not true. Remember we said that was part of the Zen philosophy? That if you were alone in a room by yourself and you rigorously examine things, 99.9% or higher of everything you believe, if thought over, and sometimes you have to discuss it with somebody else to get another perspective, would be found not to ultimately be true to your own satisfaction. But you believed it for so long. You defended it. You based your life on it. And this is why most people are losing at the game of life. We said there was two reasons. The basic one is you don't know the rules of life, which is why you're doing this. You don't know how things work from the neck up. That's your control system. Second thing is you don't even know what's true or not. That's the entirety of the rest of the world. Between those two things, you never stood a chance. Now you do. So the next concept is no matter how much you are in love with a lie, it does not make it true. And we're in love with these lies. We wrap ourselves in these lies. We make love to these lies. We hug these lies. We sleep with these lies. We're married to these lies. We are in love with our lies. We will defend them. We will give up our life for our lies. What do you think a kamikaze is? They gave their life up for something that was very likely a lie. An absolute lie. So, how do we get past this? We need to learn ways to counter our own BS, our belief system. Not questioning what you believe is called delusion. You're literally in a state of illusion. You believe something to be true, and it isn't. It's just an illusion. If something appears to be something, but it isn't, that's an illusion. I want to disillusion you, which is what? Now, a lot of people don't like that word. They say, oh, disillusion. That sounds like, you're going to crap on my beliefs, or, it's a negative word. Oh, no, 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 no. That's the major misconception. Disillusionment is the removal of illusions. And when you remove those illusions, that fake, false information which has been holding you down and hurting you your entire life, that's the best thing a person can do for you. Your best friend is the one who disillusions you. I hope this training is the most disillusioning experience you've ever had in your life. So, primary concept, much of what we believe is actually delusion. 99.9% we said of what we believe is not true. Now a lot of people say, how can that be? 99.9, that seems really high to me, Mr. Paul. If you said, 80% or 90, I could go 95, 98. 99.9? That's amazingly high. That's setting off my BS meter. Well, let's see. And I'll give you a very simple example. In physics, it's called the table problem. And the problem is, what the hell is a table? And you can get all the best scientists in the world studying this, and they can't agree on what a table is. So get all the most brilliant minds in the world, get them in a room, and they're not going to be able to figure out what a table is. And you're like, I can figure out what a table is. I'm looking right at it. It's wood. So unless that's a bad picture, you're trying to fool me. It's a wooden table, Mr. Paul. I want to thank you for coming. You've been a wonderful audience. Thanks for playing. We're done here. Everybody clap and let's go home. We know it's a wooden table. Well, you're not wrong. But that's not the ultimate truth. You're not completely right. Because a wooden table is so much more than wood. And wood isn't its ultimate thing that it actually is. So therefore, if that's not the final thing that it is, that's not what it's actually made out of, then that isn't what it is, right? That makes sense, right? If it's not what it's actually made out of, that's not what it is. So at different levels of understanding, there's different levels of reality. So the first level of reality is, hey, you got one level right, but your brain stopped. You figured, oh, it's a wooden table. I'm done. But it's also other things. Wood is biological. So it's a previously alive organism, which is now a table. That's a different way of looking at it than it's wood. Now I can tap on the table, knock on wood literally, and say, oh, this is a solid. Here's the challenge. Wood is made out of molecules. Molecules are constantly moving. If it's moving and things actually pass in between the molecules, and they do, hello, they do, table's kind of a liquid. It's kind of a liquid. Now we call it a solid because your hand won't go through it, and we say, well, that's the definition that that's a solid. If it were a liquid, then your hand would go through it. That's a human distinction, but that's not a scientific distinction. Basically, it's suspended molecules floating around. Yeah, it's a liquid. You know? Now, if I dig a little bit deeper, people will say, well, no, it's not a liquid, Paul. It's atoms. Atoms with electrons and protons and neutrons, you know, atoms. And you'll say, oh, yeah, you're right. You know, at a different level of understanding, it's atoms. So, yeah, it's atoms. And a scientist will say, you know what's interesting? It's actually made of empty space. And you're like, what? Yeah, a table is like 99.999% empty space. And you're like, yeah, no, let me bang your head against it. I'll show you it's a solid once again. And it's not mostly empty space, unlike your head. No, they're right. If you looked at the space between two atoms, it would be like 10 times the distance between the planet Earth and the moon, proportionally. Okay? Atoms are really far apart. I don't know how they ever become a solid. I can't wrap my head around it yet. I don't have that kind of wisdom. Now, if you asked another scientist, you'd say, well, the scientist would say, well, yeah, very well and good. Yeah, it's a lot of empty space. Yeah, there's some solid to it because there's atoms. Atoms are, you know, tiny particles of mass. You know, that's another solid substance, okay, quote unquote. But what is that made out of? And they'll say, oh, it's made out of light. And then they'll say, well, what is light made out of? And they'll go, well, it's, you know, it's a certain frequency. It's a vibration. So therefore the table is vibration. What? How can it be all these things? And yet it is. So depending upon how you look at it, you don't know what it is. And the best scientists in the world don't know what a table is. They don't know the ultimate reality of what a stupid table is. And you know what? The wisest of the scientists are going to say, no matter how far you drill down, that's just the best our science has. What comes after, you know, vibration? They'll say, oh, well, it's quarks and it's this and it's that. The best scientist will say, we don't have the final answer. And that is what? That's my final answer. We don't know ultimate reality, even when it comes to something as simple as a table. So, here's another way that people delude themselves. I'm going to give you the actual recipe for delusion. If you want to be deluded about something, here's how you do it. And if you do it and you follow the recipe, boom, you'll always get it right. Step one, believe something. 2, this is crucial, never check to see if it's true. 3, it'll always seem true. Hey, you're deluded. What I'm going to tell you is this is also the recipe for failure and pain. Massive failure and massive pain. Now, like I said, a lot of this isn't your fault. You know, a good 80% of this was slammed in your brain between 0 and 5 and 7. A lot of, this rubbish shoved in between, that age and 20, and it's never gotten any better since. And you didn't even know how to deprogram and reprogram yourself. You didn't know how to analyze things. The average American in like the 99th percentile hasn't even had one class on critical thinking. We don't teach people how to think in this country. We physically don't want them to think. It would screw up the country. So, believe something. Don't check to see if it's true. It'll always seem true. This is why the dumber somebody is, the more sure they are. Isn't that strange? The dumber somebody is, the more sure they are. Why? Because dumb people believe things easily. They believe virtually anything they hear that strikes them on a guttural level, on a gut instinct level, is true. They never check to see if it's true. That would take valuable time. They got important things to do. They got to read People magazine, keep up with the Kardashians, things like this. And it will always seem true. Why? Because they will support it. That's the next part that we're going to talk about. And I don't want you to think that only dumb people do this. The smartest, most genius people that you can ever think of do this in all kinds of areas of their life. Over and over and over again. The difference between a genius and an idiot would be the genius, 99.8% of everything they believe would be false, and the idiot, it would be, 99.99, and the average person would be 99.9. There's not much difference. That's the first realization, that we're all kind of trapped in this together. So, I'm going to teach you a brand new psychological concept. It's called confirmation bias. So, remember our recipe. Take in an idea, and then don't check to see if it's true or not. Well, we do another version of that. We scan the environment, and we go out there, and once we have a belief, we decide we want to prove it's true. So here's how we do it. We confirm it, and here's how we do it. We scan the environment, and in the environment, there's certain things that are telling us, hey, this belief is true. And there's certain things that are telling us these beliefs are false. So, instead of being intelligent and saying, what is the ultimate truth? And let's look at the things that say it's true, and let's look at the things that say it's false, and just very rationally look at it. We think we do that, but we don't. We do confirmation bias. Bias means I'm biased. Okay, I want something a certain way, and damn it, it's going to be like that if I have to shove round peg in square hole and hit it with a sledgehammer. That's what we do with confirmation bias. So when we have this wonderful belief that we're in love with, we scan the environment to find the things that support it, that say it's true, and we gather all those. Then we disregard, eliminate, or discredit everything that says they're false. And boom, we have the beautiful feeling of being right. And security and safety in our world, that we have something we can depend on. I'm telling you, man, you are living in an illusion. This ladder will not hold you up. We've got to escape this. We've got to be able to look at it, go back to what we originally talked about. Look at everything that's true, look at everything that's false, bring them together, and find ultimate truth. Not my truth, not your truth. When all falsehoods are removed, what's left? That is the ultimate truth. That's what we want to get to. I'm going to remind you again, a lie, no matter how much you love it, is not true. I love that little graphic there. Just love Snoopy, he's the bomb. So, great section. Here's some of our favorite lies. You might recognize some of these. I'm not fat, I'm big boned. I love all the things they do now. Women aren't fat anymore, they're curvy. They're thick. These are just variations of the word fat. This is really good PR. This is not changing anything. You're not big boned. I love this one when I'm working with people that are fat. Oh, I'm big boned. Do you know your skeletal structure weighs about 14 pounds if you're an adult male? That's it. But you're 140 pounds overweight. So I'm going to say you have a really fat, big bone skeleton, and I'm going to say you weigh half again as much as a normal human being. I'm gonna take off 7 pounds for the bones. Okay, so you're 100 pounds overweight. I'm gonna subtract your big ass bones, whole 7 pounds. I'm giving you the whole thing. 7 pounds. You're still 93 pounds overweight. Can we agree on that? Yeah, these are lies. Lies and misconceptions do not stand up well under the light of examination. They call this reality therapy. When you bring reality in and you don't let them talk about anything that is an actual, verifiable reality, the illusions dissolve. That's all reality therapy is. That's Dr. Phil. Well, I'm having a horrible relationship with my wife because, I come home and we have the same argument over and over and over again. Dr. Phil's like, did you ever consider doing it different? Oh, I tried everything. You tried everything? That would fill the whole Library of Congress 10 times over. You tried everything? Tell me everything that you tried. And he'll list off like 7 things. Do you think there's more than 7 ways to handle another human being? Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. There's almost an infinite number. So you haven't tried everything. We just know that the 7 things that you tried didn't work. See, that's reality therapy. I'll bet there's several people in your wife's life who have a better relationship with her than you do. Is that true? Yeah. You might want to study how they do it and duplicate that system. That's reality therapy. Dr. Phil is sitting on the outside using one of the oldest therapies in the book, reality therapy, simply stating what is, because he doesn't have the lies, he doesn't have the confirmation bias. He doesn't have to make himself okay with his current situation because he's not in it. That's the biggest benefit you have when you go to a therapist. They see it from the outside, they do not have your illusions, and that's why they can see the problem, because they don't have to look through an illusion to see it. That's why a therapist can't solve their own damn problems. They got to go to somebody else that can see through their illusions. Don't think therapists are any better. They're a little better trained, but they don't necessarily see things better. At least most of them, right? Okay, let's drive on. I just want to give that as a good solid example. We got plenty of them here. Things will get better next year. Who the hell told you that, and why do you believe him? We should hunt that guy down and beat him. This guy's a liar. We don't know that things are going to get better next year. That's a horrible lie. I couldn't help myself. What, are you insane? You couldn't help yourself? This is terrible. Of course you can help yourself. Of course you can do better. That's the biggest lie there is. A little can't hurt. A little what? A little cocaine, a little tattoo? I don't know what you're talking about. A little bit can't hurt. Apparently it can hurt, or you wouldn't have to come up with stuff like a little can't hurt. They say, well, I just smoke every once in a while. A little can't hurt. I just drink a little. I just snort a little cocaine. I just do a little heroin, Just beat my wife a little. These are all things that can really hurt. A little can't hurt is the defense against something where a little actually can hurt. So, read it backwards. I'm going to quit plank soon. Soon is later. Now is the only time. There is no later. There is no soon. Therefore, you're not going to quit ever. I could say that carte blanche. Whenever somebody says, oh, I'm going to quit doing this or I'm going to make this change, I could say, I'll bet good money you're going to fail. You know why? Because only about 10% of them will ever try. And out of that 10%, only about 2%, or say 20% of the 10%, let's go like that, will ever give it a full try. And therefore, no more than 2% out of 100 will ever actually do it and succeed. Now, fully, short of mental retardation, Alzheimer's, dementia, closed head injury, some kind of industrial accident, pretty much 99 out of 100 people could have done it. 2% succeed. Why? They lied to themselves. Sorry, I got stuck in traffic. We used to laugh about this when I was teaching at university. Said, hey, we've got 5 students and they're late. I'm going to put some of the top excuses on the board, and you pick the one you think they're going to give and write it down on a piece of paper. If you get it right, you hold it up, and then we all clap for you. It's going to be awesome. Now, I'm going to give it away a little bit, but you get to pick which one you want. But the number 1 lie is going to be I was stuck in traffic. So just keep that in mind. Photos can be faked, another good lie. I used to always use the joke, you know, the camera always adds like 10 pounds. I think when they took my driver's license, they had like 3 of them pointed at me. I didn't know. Why didn't you know? It's your job to know. If you didn't know, is this the first time this has happened to you, or you knew? These are all lies. They're great lies. I haven't had my coffee yet. Therefore, I get to be a complete jerk to you. I get to be mean, I get to be rude, I get to be disfocused, everything else. I haven't had my coffee yet. Coffee has nothing to do with nothing, but it's a favorite lie. People love this one. So, a little bit more about confirmation bias. Simply put, we block any information which does not match our current belief system, our current BS. When we find information which supports our current belief system, we use it to support our misconceptions and biases. And remember, we're also going to use it to block out anything that doesn't support our biases. So, confirmation bias is the leading reason, one of the leading reasons, why we do not grow. Confirmation bias literally blocks new ideas and therefore growth. If I believe in a lie and I'm blocking out the truth, I can't grow. And I can't disillusion myself. I can't lighten my load. I can't become enlightened because I believe the lie. I want you to love life. I want you to love your friends. I want you to love yourself. I want you to love the very experience of life and suck all the juice out of it. But you can't do that when you're surrounding yourself with lies. Don't let your ego get in your way and make you feel bad. We feel bad when we're wrong. I do a weird thing. I love it when I'm wrong. I want to be wrong as often as humanly possible. You know why? I don't feel that finding out I'm wrong is a bad thing. Why? Because once I find out that I'm doing something wrong or believing something wrong, I can get rid of it. I'll never pass it on. I'll feel smarter for having figured it out, you know, or being told it. I'll have new information. I know that from here forward my life will go better because I'm working on accurate information, okay? And I can now share this accurate information with other people. I'll actually feel bad not about finding out I was wrong, but defending the wrong idea for so long. That's the only thing you should feel bad about. And you don't have to feel bad about that. Why? You can't do better until you know better. So a lot of things you didn't know were lies. You very dutifully, with a good, kind, loving heart, spread those things out to other people thinking you were helping them, you know, and they were wrong. I do this as a teacher sometimes. You know, I hope I don't look back on this training 10 years from now and say, oh man, I found 5 things in there that were wrong. Darn it. 12,000 people took that training. But over my time in teaching, and I've been teaching for about a dozen years now, longer if you consider other things, but I will find every once in a while that a belief of mine that I've been talking about for years was wrong. And I got to correct myself. And I love to find those things out. So know that finding out that you're lying to yourself or something was wrong, that is freedom. That is power. That is growth. Not just new information. The most important information is not new information. It sounds strange because I'm teaching a class right now, right? It's not new information. It's getting rid of old lies. That'll make the biggest difference in your life. Not new information. We've got plenty of information. We can be very simple, very unknowledgeable people, but if we're free from our lies, we live our lives with genius. I leave you with that thought, and I'll see you in the next section.